a French look using the Sistaco Nail Powders. The colour I've chosen for the tips is the classic satin and ballerina, just to dust over the top, which is a beautiful opalescent colour. Starting with clean hands, having washed them with soap and water. The brush that you get with all of the Sistaco kits has a padded end and a brush end. I'll be using the brush end, but also I've purchased a cheap angled brush from the $2 shop. And this is the Sistaco base coat, which we will be using first. So just a nice thin coat over the nail. I always try to be careful not to get it on the skin. Just thin is better than thick. And then just being careful to wipe off any excess that you might get on the skin or on the cuticle before you cure it under the lamp. It just helps clean up afterwards, and you don't get all that powder residue stuck to wherever the base coat goes, the powder goes. So it's always better to just kind of tidy it up a little bit before you put it under the lamp. So under the lamp for 60 seconds, it will turn off by itself. It's got a timer on it. Now I'm using the angled brush first, and I'm going to show you how to use both brushes. And you don't really need to use the angled brush. It just depends on how fussy you are about getting those clean, crisp white lines, and I am a little bit of a perfectionist, so I just wanted to show you both ways. But this is the first time I've actually done the French look with the system, so bear with me, but I'm going to show you at the end. It really doesn't matter. You get just as good of a finish if you don't use the angled brush as well. So just lightly, just pick up a little bit of powder. You don't need a lot, and then just brush it down so that you're not sort of moving it all across the nail. You really only want to get it where you want to place that white. Just like that. And practice does make perfect. You get better at this as you go along. But you can see how easy it is just to apply it. That brush is actually quite thin as well, so it's not a thick brush, so it only picks up a little bit of powder, and it really does a great job at kind of defining that line. And if you can't be bothered sort of going through this process or spending the time doing this, just fast forward to the second hand where I show you how to use the Sistaco brush, and it's a lot less time consuming. But just speeding it up for you now, finishing off those nail tips. Try to not get the powder onto the nail bed where you're going to place the pink, because once it's, like I said, once it sticks, the powder goes onto the base coat, it will stick, so it'll be hard to get it off. So just try to work towards the end of the nail with the white. This classic satin has a beautiful shine to it, a sheen as well. It's a really lovely colour. Just touching up that last bit. And there you have it. Now I'm going to just dust on a light coating of the ballerina just on the nail beds above the tip, and it really doesn't matter if you get any on the tip at this point, because most of the base coat has been adhered to already with the white. But you don't want to put an excess amount over the white either, because it will also, you will still have some residual color. So just try to get towards the nail bed and not too much, but decent coat, As you can see, there's really not a lot of wastage going onto the table, so if you do get too much on the brush, just tap it off, dab it on. And I just used another one of those cheapy art brushes just to dust off any excess powder. You really don't have to do this, but I just did it to clean up as I was going. Then I'm going to apply a thin layer of the top coat. Don't worry too much if you get the actual powder on the skin, it just washes straight off. Again, wiping off the excess before you put it under the lamp. Seconds, and it's done. So I'm just going to complete the next two nails, which will be my thumbs. I always like to do the first 4 nails, then my 2 thumbs, and then the next 4 nails, or you can do both 4 nails and then the 2 thumbs. It's just easier to do it that way. So I'm just going to apply the tips the same way on both thumbs, and I'll just speed that up for you. It's the same process, and there they are. Now I'm going to show you how to do it with the Sistaco brush. So if you fast forwarded it up to here, it's a lot faster to do it this way. Base coat on all nails. Light. Now, I did actually stuff up that nail and decided to leave it in there just so that you could see, if you do make a mistake, how easy it is to fix it. So what I did was I put the base coat on and I forgot to cure it and started applying the powder, which made a bit of a mess, made it quite sticky and tacky, and really was a disaster. I thought it was going to be a disaster. I'd have to take it all off, but you can see there it really wasn't. So what I did, as soon as I realized that I'd done that, I just quickly applied the base coat again and cured it, and then I went over it, as you can see there, with the powder, and it was fine. It looked a bit funny at the start, but then by the end of the manicure it was sitting perfectly and you couldn't tell. So with this brush, you just want to dust lightly again towards the tips. Try not to get too much on the brush, because I think that's the trick at not having too much sort of flying up the nail. So, but it doesn't matter if it gets on the skin, it doesn't matter if it even goes over the line a little bit, that's still okay. But just tap off any excess and just lightly dust it over the free edge sideways. That's the best way. Just gently. Now just dusting a layer again of the ballerina powder, and this time you can just kind of brush it down. When you've done it this way, it just helps to brush off any of the excess white that might be sitting there that you didn't want to bring up onto the nail bed. So brushing it down away from you, from the edge of the nail, will help blend that all in. Once you get the hang of it, it's really quite quick, and you can see there I've got it all on the skin. Don't even worry about that. It all comes off so easily. Give them a quick blend in and you're pretty much done. Then you're going to put the top coat on. And you're going to cure it under the lamp for 60 seconds and you are finished. But just before the video does end, if you didn't want to put the ballerina colour on, you absolutely don't have to. You could just literally leave it with the white tips, put a top coat on and you would have a very, very natural nail look. I just chose to do the ballerina because it has a beautiful shine and shimmer, as you can see there. Perfect. And this was the completed look out in the sunlight. You can see that gorgeous shimmer, and that was my bad hand, so that still looks great